Once upon a time, there was a cat named Whiskers who lived in a big house with her owner Sally. Whiskers loved to prowl around the house and nap in sunny spots on the floor. One day, Whiskers was snoozing on the back of the couch when she heard barking outside. She jumped up and looked out the window to see a big crowd of dogs gathered on the lawn. There were all kinds of dogs, big dogs, little dogs, fluffy dogs, and smooth dogs. Whiskers pressed her nose against the window pane to get a better look. Whiskers watched as more and more dogs trotted across the yard and joined the group. What are all these dogs doing here? Whiskers wondered. Just then, Whiskers heard the front door open and the pitter-patter of little feet on the floor. She turned to see the house mice scurrying towards the front door. The mice squeezed under the door and outside. Whiskers jumped down from the couch and ran to the door. She pawed at it and meowed loudly, but it was shut tight. Oh no, thought Whiskers. The mice are headed right for the dogs. Whiskers scratched at the door desperately. She had to stop the mice before they reached the dog party on the lawn. Just then, Sally came around the corner. What's all this meowing about, Whiskers? She asked. When she saw the party outside, Sally gasped. She scooped up Whiskers and hurried to the back door. Throwing it open, she said, "Hurry, Whiskers. You've got to save the mice." Whiskers darted outside. The dog party was in full swing, with dogs chasing each other in circles and playing tug-of-war with ropes and toys. The mice huddled in a small group, looking very unsafe. Whiskers raced across the lawn, leaping over dogs and dodging flying tennis balls. She reached the mice and stood protectively over them. "Stay behind me," Whiskers told the mice. The dogs hadn't noticed the mice yet. If Whiskers could just get them back inside, they would be safe. She herded the mice along slowly, keeping her body between them and the playing dogs. They were halfway across the lawn when a loud bark made Whiskers turn. A huge dog had spotted the mice and bounded over. Whiskers arched her back and hissed at the dog, but he didn't stop. The other dogs looked over and started running for the mice too. The scared mice took off in all directions. Whiskers pounced left and right, grabbing mice by their tails. But she couldn't hold them all. The dogs barked excitedly, thinking it was some new game. They jumped and sniffed, corralling the mice in a circle between them. Just as a little brown dog was about to grab a mouse, Sally appeared. She clapped her hands loudly and shouted, "Stop!" All the dogs froze and looked back at her, startled. Sally quickly picked up the remaining loose mice while the dogs were distracted. Safe in Sally's arms, the mice trembled and squeaked with fright. Sally carried them to the back door while Whiskers helped herd the remaining mice ahead. Once all the mice were inside, Sally and Whiskers stepped back in and locked the door securely. The dogs barked disappointedly outside at having lost their new toy. Inside, the mice gathered around Whiskers, cheering and hugging her tail. "You saved us," they cried. Whiskers licked the top of each mouse's head modestly. Sally smiled and shook her head. "Oh Whiskers, what an adventure," she said as she petted Whiskers. "My hero." Whiskers purred proudly. She was very glad she had been able to rescue the mice from the big dog party. The mice decided they had had enough excitement for one day. They scurried off to hide in their tiny mouse-sized beds and take long naps to recover. Sally made a pot of tea and brought Whiskers up onto the couch with her. "No more parties with the neighborhood dogs, okay Whiskers," said Sally. Whiskers meowed in agreement. She was perfectly happy to spend a quiet afternoon snuggled on the couch with her beloved owner. Whiskers settled into Sally's lap, purring contentedly. All was right again in her world.